We'd like to welcome you back to our current event and weekly Bible study for March 29th, 2015. We're going to play a video here from Joe Biggs. It's called SOCOM Plans to Invade Hostile Texas Revealed. And this is just one more report, one more angle, one more confirmation that we're looking at regarding this.
Joe Biggs here with Infowars.com. Now I'm going to go over an outline about an upcoming operation that'll be led by the U.S. Army Special Operations Command, which has under that the U.S. Navy SEALs, Air Force Commandos, Green Berets, Delta Force, 82nd Airborne, Marine Expeditionary Fighting Forces. This will be a large-scale operation on American soil. Let's take a look at what that means. I'm here to talk about a massive military drill that will be conducted on American soil from July 15th to September 15th of this year. U.S. Army Special Operations Command calls this operation Jade Helm 15. The logo for this operation has a shoe standing on crossed arrows over a sword that says, "Master the Human Domain." This shocking operation is about a brutal martial law takeover of what SOCOM calls hostile states. Both Texas and Utah have been painted red. In the legend, it states that red is a hostile area. Now, why is the federal government calling Utah and Texas hostile? Is it because we're awake to the tyranny in Washington, or is it because we're pro-gun patriots who love the Constitution? We know that large portions of the military come from these two states, and our government has clearly come out and stated that returning vets are its #1 threat. Operation Jade Helm 15 will be conducted over 8 weeks to train U.S. Army Special Forces, Navy SEALs, Air Force Special Ops, and USMC Special Ops, along with my old unit, the 82nd Airborne. Now, these troops will be preparing for unconventional warfare. Unconventional warfare consists of activities conducted to go after a resistance movement or insurgency. This is a straight-up, in-your-face training to target American citizens who are part of this fast-growing liberty movement. They aren't playing around, people. They know that constitutionalists will stand up. They see us as a threat to their powerhouse. They know that Texas could break away and become its own. That's why they are coming here. They are saying this operation will be conducted in Texas because Texans support military operations. Yeah, we support men and women who go after the bad guys, not when it's American citizens. They're trying to force vaccines on us. They're trying to take our guns, and they want to ban the ammo. They are making moves to prepare for a complete and total takeover. We need to wake up. Right in the SOCOM document, it clearly states that operations will be conducted outside of government-owned land. This means your backyard, people. They say this exercise will be used to hone advanced skills with low populations with access to the towns. They will be operating in and out around the communities where anything out of the ordinary will be spotted and reported. They say this is an opportunity to work with civilians to gain their trust and have an understanding of the issues. David Knight and I went and showed you the Asymmetric Warfare Training Center at Fort A.P. Hill in Virginia. That was a large martial law training facility. This was like a small urban town to scale with a subway, church, mosque, soccer field, torture chambers, traffic circles, stoplights, and so much more. And there's also another one in North Carolina that is used by the Marines.
They're showing pictures of this town, this whole town they've built for this type of warfare on the American populace. And so they've got whole towns where they've literally made, where they're conducting these drills.
In the military they say you train how you fight. And you also train in areas similar to the theater of your operation. These urban warfare sites that look like rural America keep popping up all across our country, and now they want to actually bring one to a real community with people. This is not a mock setup. This is a real town. Now, residents, don't be alarmed if you see an increase in aircraft activity. It's just 1,200 special operations troops blazing overhead in helicopters. They say that this increased aircraft activity will be at nighttime. Now, what happens at nighttime, you might ask? Well, me being a former Army vet of both Iraq and Afghanistan, I can tell you one thing, that the Special Forces do snatch and grabs at nighttime. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to desensitize the public. They want you guys, the sheep that aren't out there paying attention, to get so used to this military occupation happening here in the States. The war is not with the Russians. The war is not with ISIS. The war is here at home. The enemy is red, white, and blue. It's people who like the Constitution. It's people who are pro-gun. It's the people who are returning veterans. It's the people who actually care about what it means to be an American. And it also states that some individuals, i.e. the operators, may be conducting suspicious activity designed to prepare them for complex environments. What complex environment? You mean America? Yeah, I think that would be a very complex environment if the government tries to turn the military on its own citizens. They are already conducting operations in Utah right now, this very instance. The U.S. Army soldiers from the 202 Military Intelligence Battalion are conducting scenarios based source operations and mounted and dismounted surveillance training in Salt Lake City. This is a complete and total psyop, plain and simple. It's right here. We've given you the document. Read it over, share it, and pass it on. Well, I hope you learned something from this. I hope you are more awake to the psyop that is going on with this Jade Helm 1.5 operation. I hope that you see this video, you take the information in, and you share it with other people.
Okay, so that was that, which just kind of tied together everything that we already kind of covered from a little different angle in the first part. Now let's go further. This next report is Feds preparing to invade Texas, list state as hostile. Multiple branches of the U.S. military, including Green Berets and Navy SEALs and 82nd Airborne, will participate in the 8-week-long exercise. Troops will be tasked with honing advanced skills in large areas of undeveloped land with low population densities, where a lot of times that's where you're going to have a potentially a higher amount of the civilian resistance, because they've already gotten wind of what's coming and they know that the best place to be is not in the middle of a city, so they're already out in relatively unpopulated areas. And they're going to work alongside civilians to gain their trust and an understanding of the issues. Yeah, right. It's all about infiltration, is what they're talking about. Gathering intelligence so that they know where they need to go to, either annihilate the civilian resistance or to kidnap them. The exercise, in which some participants will be wearing civilian clothes and driving civilian vehicles, lists Texas and Utah as hostile territories. According to the document, Texas was chosen due to the state's historically supportive efforts to prepare our soldiers, airmen, Marines, and sailors to fight the enemies of the United States. Despite the document's claims, multiple Army training manuals and studies in the past have specifically targeted such states due to concerns over the growing influence of right-leaning ideologies and groups, such as the Tea Party. Leaked 2002 U.S. Army Military Police Training Manual, entitled Civil Disturbance Operations, described how soldiers would be ordered to confiscate firearms, kill American dissidents. The manual also revealed that prisoners would be detained in temporary internment camps. Think of that later. We're going to get into a subject about these temporary internment camps, and then re-educated to gain a new appreciation of U.S. policies in accordance with U.S. Army Field Manual 3-19-.40, internment and resettlement operations. I read from that earlier. Also in 2012, a Department of Homeland Security funded study characterized Americans that are, quote, suspicious of centralized federal authority and are reverent of individual liberty as extreme right-wing terrorists. So again, if it's evil, it's good. If it's good, it's evil. That's becoming more and more the norm. The Bible says the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. I believe it's Psalm 12, verse 8. Think about that. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. Well, look at what you have in the White House, and how he's exalted among the liberal media. I mean, the Bible says that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination in the sight of God. Okay, so you've got all of these Hollywood actors and all of that garbage being exalted, So the wicked are going to walk on every side in that particular scenario, and that's kind of what we have in America to a large extent. So, in the past, large-scale domestic military exercises have also included foreign countries. During a training drill in April of 2012, the United States hosted soldiers from Russia who trained at Fort Carson, Colorado, on how to target American terrorists. I mean, we've been working with the Russians. In just the last year, U.S. Special Forces and Commandos trained with troops from 16 foreign nations, including Colombia, France, Germany, and that was in Tampa, Florida, practicing how to coordinate aerial, ground, and aquatic operations. Although the nations can benefit from joint drills, the exercise also serves to blur the lines of national sovereignty slowly leading to the formation of a North American Union. Another troubling aspect of the domestic drills is the apparent erosion of posse comitatus, which the 2007 John Warner National Defense Authorization Act scaled back to now allow armed forces to, quote, restore public order during events declared a national emergency. Uh, so, yeah, we have all these scenarios. Now, then, to update you even further, I mentioned this earlier, 2 more states added to the Jade Helm 15 exercises. With Jade Helm 15 going viral across the internet, U.S. Army Special Operations Command is having to push back against the alarmist claims that we're actually witnessing martial law style drills. According to Stars and Stripes, one of their publications, 2 more states, Florida and Mississippi, have been added exercises to their states that will include surgical strikes and extractions. So surgical strikes of the enemy and extracting the enemy. Okay, and that would only be us. You're doing it on our home turf. This isn't in Iraq or Iran. You train in the area, or train like the area that you're going to invade, like they just talked about in the last video. So I mean, it's clear as crystal what they're training for: surgical strikes and extractions, according to a news conference addressing Jade Helm 15. When Jade Helm 15 originally broke on the internet, government trolls and the uninformed immediately pounced all over the comment sections of the websites, reporting the story, calling it false, made-up fiction. But videographer Lori Anderson addresses the trolls in a video, proving beyond a shadow of the doubt that Jade Helm 15 exercise is real, via the words of Jade Helm operation planner Thomas Mead, who tells us himself that the additional operations will be held in Florida. I mean, this is not like a rumor. This is fact. This is all in black and white, in writing. They're planning this. It's not like it's an internet rumor. Okay, so they tell us themselves that additional operations will be held in Florida and Mississippi, in addition to the other 7 states previously reported. You can listen to the entire news conference here, and there's a link there if you want to listen to that in the PDF for this date. Many questions surround Jade Helm 15, such as why would Texas be listed as hostile? One answer for that being only 2 years ago, 125,000 people petitioned the White House requesting that Texas be allowed to peacefully secede from the U.S., a petition that was unsuccessful. I mean, it'd be like going to Satan and saying, "Yeah, can we secede from the government, Satan, please?" Yeah, they're not gonna let that happen. Why are these exercises only being held at night? According to a trusted ANP source, and there's so many links, like when I say something like that's pivotal, there's typically a link to the report of what I'm talking about. Okay, so according to this source, when such exercises lose the element of surprise, they must be modified or scrapped altogether. Well, the element of surprise being if you come at 3 o'clock at night and kick in the door, that's your element of surprise. That's why these things are being conducted at night, because that's when they know that there's the best likelihood of having that element of surprise intact. With nuclear war potentially in our immediate future, why is there no preparation for that while the stealthy focus of Obama administration is on the American gun owners, with no raids upon known terrorist training camps in the United States? We'll discuss that a little bit later. There's no raids on all these Muslim training camps, all these devil Muslims they've already pre-positioned, and they're just getting ready to have their Muslim terrorist cells go hot. No, there's no raids on them. No, they're the good guys. They're going to be carrying out Allah's will on the infidel Americans. Okay, so I'm sure they'll be a big part of all this. You know, if they can have, I mean, there's so many scenarios they could have. They could have black against white. They could have that in combination with and they've been doing all they can do to stir that one. Okay, and then they can have the Muslims coming and wanting to do all the stuff they're going to do to kill the infidel, destroy them, to kill the infrastructure, to whatever, all that going on. Then you have our own government in the mix, supposedly coming to restore law and order. And then you might even have an invasion from an outside force. You know, so there's a lot of different scenarios that as far as the way that this could play out. While the question, what is mastering the human domain, which is the motto for Jade Helm, has continually popped up, one look at this documentation of the U.S. Army War College's Civilian Research Project answers many questions. You can see the document in its entirety embedded in the video link below. From page 16 of the document, we read, the rising velocity of human interaction through the internet and social media makes influencing human behavior the centerpiece of military strategy. So that speaks more to coming in and trying to maybe play the good guy, trying to gain confidence, trying to infiltrate these groups, whether there be militia or whatever, so that they can identify who the real ringleaders are and they can take them out. So they'll come at you like they're the best thing since sliced bread. We're the good guys. We're here to help you out and all this other stuff. Just, let us know this information. And, I wouldn't trust anything regarding this scenario and this exercise at all. So if you don't believe this is real at this point, there's a link here, and it's called Jade Helm 15 is real. Here's the proof. I'm not going to go over this. I just gave you the link, and it goes through report after report after report after report, verifying this is not a rumor, this is true, this is accurate. Okay, so that you have that at your disposal as well. Okay, so let's go further. This is one theory about Jade Helm. Okay, we've already explored several theories. Here's another theory. Okay, just so we have kind of a broad look at this subject, so it's just not like, oh, this is why they're doing this and we know this is why. Well, there's some alternate theories upon regarding why this could be going on. And I just want to give a little bit of time to this, just so we have, more of a broad look at this. And it says one theory: Jade Helm is not a drill. Its readiness is for the Russian retaliation if we arm Ukraine. Now, I'd already talked about Russia coming out, excuse me, in that one video and saying that they were going to arm some of the resistance in these Jade Helm states if we arm Ukraine. In other words, they would arm the militia that would be fighting against the U.S. government. Okay, so that's a scenario. Okay, we've looked at the obvious scenarios. We've looked at the whole thing of why this is happening, and there's a lot of obvious reasons why this would be happening. These are some alternate viewpoints that could have merit. So I wanted to at least give them a little bit of press. I have recently stumbled across some rather shocking information that could prove we may be in for a lot more than we bargained for. And that is that Jade Helm just might be preparation for a threat from Russia. After all, the Chechen parliament has just threatened the U.S., and these are validated reports. I went and watched the videos on these, and they have done this. It hasn't got any press, okay, on mainstream media, barely on alternative, but this has happened. They have threatened this, okay. After all, the Chechen parliament has just threatened the U.S. that if we arm Ukraine, they will retaliate by arming Mexico, so that it can gain back land we purchased from them in the Treaty of Guadalupe. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, okay? I mean, what is the Mexican army going to come there and commandeer the land that we stole from them? I mean, that's just, I think that's a pretty ridiculous scenario, but here's the deal. If they arm Mexico, and let's say they arm the gangs in Mexico, and then let's say they even arm the militia in America, okay, they're going to have a lot more people fighting on their side than they would if they didn't arm them, obviously, and people that actually know the land, know the territory, so I'm just saying it's they've already threatened this. I think Russia could care less about Mexico gaining back any states we or any land that we supposedly stole from them. I think the big goal for Russia would be to just get back at America, okay? And they can use any excuse in the world, like, oh, we're your friends, we're your good guy buddies, and we're gonna supply arms. But they obviously have their own agenda, if that were to take place. Here is here is the statement made by the Chechen parliament. Quote, it follows that the United States has no right to advise Russia to behave with neighboring friendly people. There's a little bit lost in translation here. Supply of arms to the Ukraine will be perceived by us as a signal to the appropriate actions. We will begin delivery of new weapons to Mexico to resume debate on the legal status of the territories annexed by the United States, which are now the U.S. states of California, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming. And most of them are the ones that are the Jade Helm states, which is kind of a weird coincidence. The latest move by our government has pushed Russia to the breaking point, so much so that they are threatening, in other words, arming Ukraine. America arming Ukraine. That's what's pushed Russia to the breaking point, so much so that they are treating the United States that if we arm Ukraine, they will retaliate by sending arms to Mexico so that it might take back land purchased in the Treaty of Guadalupe. Now, here's the kicker. The land that our government is reportedly running the Jade Helm drills on just so happens to be the same land that Mexico would be targeting in the event the Russians armed them and we gave arms to the Ukraine. It is true. And could that be why they're holding this drill there, to have troops pre-positioned, to have troops that have at least known the area in the eventuality that this could happen? I don't know, but it is a theory that I think is worth mentioning here. So, okay, so we got through that. Now, here's another theory. Months away from an event that will change America forever, Jade Helm 15 expands to 10 states as China prepares to take the helm. Now, we've already talked about China some. This is going to add to that. While Alex Jones takes a phone call from a retired U.S. veteran in the first video below, who warns us that the Russian and other foreign troops have been training at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and I've heard that many times, two very astute all-news pipeline readers have separately come forth with a hidden in plain sight explanation for the Jade Helm 15 exercises and their precise July 15th to September 15th timing. Jade Helm means China is in command. And if what we can all see now unfolding is correct, we are merely months away from an event that will change America forever. The military helicopters caught on camera descending over Central Texas is a mass civil unrest drill, as seen in the second video below. Now, I'm not going to play all these videos, but I do give you the link if you want to watch them. Story after story, and these are all linked, are now emerging, which claims that by September 2015, the U.S. dollar will be replaced by a gold-backed yuan as the world's reserve currency. Now, listen, that might happen. I mean, nothing. we're just creating more money and printing more money out of thin air through quantitative easing, creating more and more debt that China's been buying, but I'm pretty sure they've stopped buying it. And it's going to get to a point where when the dollar does tank, when the U.S. economy falls, and then China comes in and then says, okay, we want to have the world's reserve currency. The dollar's done. And it's funny because China is one of the world's largest producers of jade. At that point, they'll be at the helm. So jade, okay, meaning China, helm. Okay, so China at the helm. The helm is the ship's steering mechanism of the global economy and leaving the U.S. economy in complete and utter dismay. In other words, it's like one of those hiding in plain sight things, like they said. That's what the word Jade Helm means. Hey, they might be true. You know? Crazier things have happened, that's for sure. This theory is further backed by a story on silver doctors called CIPS Launch to Collapse the Dollar in the fall of 2015. And examined in more detail by this video, in this video, Rebel's blog story exerted called below that was entitled Signs America to Hit the Wall and Go Splat. September looks as good a time as any for America to hit that brick wall, with Jade Helm 15 having now spread to at least 10 states that we know, and the timing of these executives taking place prior to the possible onset of a gold-backed China yuan as the world's new reserve currency. The fourth and fifth videos below are called So You Think the Military Won't Kill U.S. Citizens and Delta Force's Obama's Invisible Death Squad, as the preparation for America's fall to the third world country status increases all across the nation. So these are some scenarios as to exactly why this is going to happen, and the videos are there to kind of confirm all of this. So I give you the link there if you want to check that out. There, that's again, that's another theory. I'm not saying that is why all this is happening, but I think they have presented some things with some potential merit there. Next report: FEMA death domes popping up all over Texas raise alarm as Jade Helm 15 invades Southwestern America, with the Texas listed as hostile. So what we're looking for is there the handwriting on the wall here, like in the book of Daniel? What are we seeing? We're seeing a lot of different crazy confirmation of some really heinous stuff being behind this, you know. Um, and so this starts out by saying, with Jade Helm 15 coming to Texas, Utah, and California, and 4 more southern states for summer exercises between June 15th and September 15th of this year, numerous FEMA domes that are being rushed to completion across the state of Texas in locations such as Lumberton, Brownsville, Poncho Maples, and Kingsville are raising alarms, with many who view these structures as potential FEMA death domes. Remember what I talked about earlier, where they had talked about like internment, resettlement, and temporary, uh, housing type of things. Well, these would be ideal for that. Okay, um, these would be used to house insurgents following the red and blue list roundup of gun owners, Christians, and patriotic supporters of America and the U.S. Constitution. Described by the New York Times as dual-use domes, most of the time filled with cheering high school basketball fans. Think of Hillary Clinton's fun camps that she just talked about recently. She said that these people need to go to fun camps in that particular clip there. There's actually a link there to it. Um, but come hurricane season, these could be used as nearly impenetrable shelters from the weather. The New York Times story tells us that 28 of these buildings are being built, and there's nothing standard about them at all. They'll have double layered cinder block walls reinforced by heavy duty steel bars and cement piers that plunge 30 feet into the ground. Difficult to get out of it also if the goal is keeping a group of people inside. While evidence proving that the use of these fully air-conditioned domes will be used to house insurgents is dubious at best, and according to the mainstream, they'll likely be used as command and control locations during emergencies. But the urgency with which they're being built and the timing of the Jade Helm 15, along with the warnings of imminent economic collapse in America and the everlasting memory of government protecting the residents of New Orleans at the Super Death Dome after Hurricane Katrina, are a combined cause for concern. These domes can be inflated quite rapidly, as they're seen in the images below. And so I give you some images here. It's really only the top that's inflated. The sides are all like this reinforced concrete and all this other stuff. But the top is somehow inflated and then I guess reinforced. So I give you a whole bunch of pictures there that you can look at. Okay, so continuing on, next report is Obama chooses 6 cities to test federal police scheme. Under the guise of, quote, restoring trust between communities and police departments that have been militarized by the federal government, the Obama administration's Justice Department announced this month that it had selected 6 U.S. cities to serve as pilot sites to develop and deploy federal guidance for local police and create better procedures, reduce racial bias, give me a break, and regain citizens' trust. The plan, which is controversial because it is in line with the Obama administration's goals to further nationalize and federalize local law enforcement, has been officially dubbed the National Initiative for Building Community Trust and Justice. It will use U.S. taxpayer dollars to deploy experts and researchers charged with training officers to act in a manner that DOJ deems just, in essence, doing the bidding of the Obama administration. Officially, the Justice Department will be helping local officials fight crime under the scheme, according to the new reports. Initially, the program, which will cost American taxpayers almost $5 million, will aim to assess the relationship between local police and the communities they serve. Then the DOJ squads will work to develop plans supposedly aimed at enhancing procedural justice, reducing bias, and supporting reconciliation in the communities where trust has been eroded. The Justice Department said in a statement announcing the plan, the first cities targeted will be Birmingham, Alabama, Fort Worth, Texas, Gary, Indiana, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Stockton, California. Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price described the program as a tool to strengthen our partnership with the justice system. However, other police departments are also in the crosshairs. According to the official announcement, an unspecified number of police departments in communities that are not pilot sites will also be targeted for more DOJ training and technical assistance. So that just kind of further figures in to all of the subjects we've been talking about in these first two parts here. Now, I'm not that far into the second part, but we're going to totally switch gears here and move to the Iranian subject of Iran, their nuclear developmental capacities, their desire to annihilate us, and that's a whole separate subject. So I'm going to end part 2 here, and we will go to part 3 next.